Hi, welcome to this module. In this module, we'll be looking at installing HyperV and Fedora Linux Workstation. What is HyperV? HyperV is a machine virtualization platform from Microsoft that enables you to install and run multiple 32-bit or 64-bit operating systems in parallel on the same machine. That is, you can install different Windows in the same machine depending on the available resources you have on that system. So this enables you to work on various operating systems without having to invest too much on computer hardware. You can actually do so many stuff in the HyperV. It also helps you to test. Maybe you're testing an application on the server and you don't want to put it in your production environment. You can do it on the OS on your HyperV just to test so that you don't mess up your production environment up. HyperV services runs on Windows 8 and Windows 10, and the computer hardware must have 64-bit processor that supports second level address translation, and the system should have at least a 4 gig of system memory and BIOS level virtualization support. What I mean by BIOS level virtualization support, some vendor systems may not allow virtualization, so you should check with your vendor and see if your system allows you for virtualization. For me, I like virtualization because I install different operating systems and try things out, install, uninstall. I do whatever I want because I know it won't affect anything on my physical machine, so this helps a lot. Also in this module, we are going to install a Fedora Linux virtual machine. Linux is like a Unix-like operating system that was created under the model of free open source software development, and installing or using Linux does not call for any license, as it can be installed on a wide range of computing devices, including the computer and various mobile devices. Fedora is one of the popular Linux distribution. Okay, so for this module, we are going to install HyperV feature. We're going to install a Fedora Linux virtual machine. We're going to be configuring initial setup of a Fedora Linux virtual machine. In the next videos, we are going to be installing the HyperV features. For the HyperV features, we are going to be using the Practice Lab DC01, which is the domain controller, and the Practice Lab Windows 10, which is the Windows 8.1 workstation. In the next videos, we are going to be doing the tasks, and we're going to be installing.
Hello, this is Danish from jobskillshare.org. Before Paul jumps into the module, in this course, this is the only time we will be doing a little bit lecture before we show you the real world tasks in that lab. So when Paul talked about virtualization, I am going to explain this in non-technical way. I'm not going to use any formal technical terms over here, but I'm going to explain this through my whiteboard. So when he talked about virtualization, basically in the companies you have a data center like this, and back in the days you have you used to buy a lot of Dell servers, HP and other servers. So this data center will be filled with servers like this, and these are all like, you know, physical servers. And so you can imagine how many, you know, systems are being used. And in this one server there will be like one operating system, either it's Microsoft or, you know, other operating systems, but we're going to call this, let's say, Microsoft Windows 2003 server. And then this Windows 2003 server will give services to, let's say, these are the rooms, and in these rooms you have, you know, people sitting in here, and this server will be doing another service, and it's doing that right here. So a lot of, you know, you can see how many resources are being used, how much energy is being used, and all that kind of stuff. So what happened is that now a lot of people moved to virtualization. What virtualization did, they came up with, now you still have box like this, the hardware, but what happened is that you can now put operating systems, multiple operating systems in one hardware if it is you know, virtualized. Can it be? Is this box ready for that technology? So that's when he talked about your machine needs to be able to have that virtualized technology. Then that's, you know, certain boxes at certain year came out with this. So to explain this even more, you know, people just get rid of all of these hardware right here, and what happened is now, you know, they bought a powerful hardware where you have a lot of RAM, memory, everything in this box, and now you can put multiple operating systems in this one box. You can see it's like, you know, how much did you save over here? First of all, the space. Second is your energy. You know, the manual tasks that needed to be done. The backups are so simple now that you can just, you know, with 2 clicks you can just remove the OS, put it back, all that kind of stuff. It's really easy now. So that is what it means by virtualization when Paul's talked about that. But then there's another thing that in this lab that you will see, and it may confuse you, is the domain controller. So these are other things that you'll learn when you go to the future courses. But just to kind of like explain it to you quickly, that domain controller is basically this machine, or let's say this machine in this area right now, this is a domain controller. We call this a domain controller. This is a Windows Server 2012 or 2016. And then what happened is that this becomes your management server. It has Active Directory on it. And then what happened is that your connections to these computers, they're connected to this machine, so they're managed. If they were not connected, these are going to be unmanaged, meaning when you buy a computer from Best Buy or other places, these computers are not managed. If you go to your start and click on settings, you will see work group. That means this computer is not on any domain controller, and it is just a single managed computer. So when you put a username and password, you log into this machine, but nobody else can log in, you know, because they don't have access to it. So you can add them, of course, but that's still not managed. What if you have 200 machines or you have 15 machines? You cannot, you know, do management like that. So you need to have a domain controller, and then that machine is connected to this domain controller. So then you can manage 200, 100, 1,000, whatever, how many computers you can manage from this. So that's what it means in this lab. But again, remember, I'm not going to explain all of this in just this course, and that's where you have to then take other courses. But just to make sure that you guys you know, don't get confused, so this is where I wanted to jump in. And now back to Paul.
Welcome to this section. This is going to be our exercise 1. We're going to install HyperV feature in Windows 8, and we're going to be doing this to enable this feature using the PowerShell. And okay, we are going to use the PowerShell. By doing that, we're going to use the command prompt. You just right click here, go to command prompt, and we're going to type PowerShell. And note this is not case sensitive. You can type caps or small letter. Now we're in PowerShell. You see it has changed to PS, which is PowerShell. So now I'm going to put down the script. I won't type it, I'll just copy and paste, so it won't take time while typing. I'm just going to paste the script here. So this we enable PowerShell Future. Just hit on enter. This will take some time, so I'm going to pause the video and let it run. I'll be back. Alright, still waiting for it to finish, because we are going to need to reboot this computer after that is installed. So let's wait for it to do its thing. Alright, we are done. So now it says, do you want to restart this computer? We're going to say yes by typing Y and restarting. So let's just wait until the system reboots. Alright, system has rebooted. Now we're going to check and see if the HyperV feature has been enabled. By doing that, just click on the start menu and we're going to type HyperV. Okay, you see it has been enabled. So we have come to the end of this section and the end of task 1. In task 2, we're going to create HyperV Virtual Network. Hi, welcome to this section, and we're going to be doing task 2, creating HyperV Virtual Network. And before we jump back to our portal, let me just say a few things about HyperV Virtual Network. A virtual network works like a physical network switch, except that the switch is software based, which is why it is sometimes referred to as virtual network switch. Ports are added or removed when the virtual machines are connected or disconnected from the virtual network. With HyperV's Virtual Network Manager, it offers you 3 types of virtual networks that you can use, which is external virtual networks, internal virtual networks, private virtual networks. And in the external virtual networks, you can use this type when you want to provide virtual machines with access to a physical network and communicate externally located servers and clients. But for the internal virtual networks, you can use this type when you want to allow network communication between the virtual machines on the same virtualization server and between virtual machines and the management operating system. For the private virtual network, you can use this type when you want to allow network communications between the virtual machines on the same virtualization server. A private virtual network is not bound to a physical network adapter. This type of network is useful if you want to create an isolated network environment. So we're going to jump back into our portal to open the HyperV Manager. Alright, we're going to open our HyperV Manager. Click on Start. Just type HyperV. Open HyperV Manager. So we're going to be creating a virtual LAN. Right click on this name here is our Windows 8 machine, the physical machine, the name of the physical machine. We'll right click on this, we go to Virtual Switch Manager, click on it. Let me bring this closer so we can see it properly. For the purpose of this lab, we're going to be creating a private virtual switch. We're going to select private and click on create virtual switch. We're going to rename it. We're going to rename it to private network 1. You can, for your own, you can rename it to whatever you want. Then we'll click OK. So now we have successfully created a virtual switch. Alright, so we're done with the stacks. Just for you to know that the purpose of this is just to show you installation of HyperV Future. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Hi, welcome to this session. We are going to be installing Fedora Linux virtual machine on HyperV. From the previous video, I've shown you how to enable HyperV. So now in this section, we're going to be doing a fresh install of Fedora 14. This is our task 1, and in this task, we will install Fedora Linux as a guest virtual machine in HyperV. Okay, we are going to be installing Fedora 14. Now this is the HyperV Manager. We're going to be installing, do a clean install in this HyperV Manager. We're going to do that by, we're going to right click on Fedora Boot. No, not that one. We're going to right click on this, Fedora Boot. Click connect. You click on start to power it up. This is the installation phase. Wait for it to come up properly. Just to note that the mounts doesn't work on Linux installation phase. You just have to be using the tab button. We're going to select install a new system or upgrade an existing system. Let's wait for it to run through. We're just going to skip this. I'm not going to be testing for anything. Skip. Press. So the installation is going to start up. Now the installation is running. Let's go on full screen so that we can see it properly. Now we're installing Fedora 14. Press enter to go on to the next page. Select English. Should select the appropriate keyboard for the system. I was going to stick with US English. Press enter. What type of device will your installation involve? We're going to stick with the basic storage devices. Press enter. We're going to select reinitialize all. Press enter. Okay, we're just going to choose a name, host name. For this purpose of this lab, we'll choose PC1. Next, click on next, press enter. And we're going to be selecting city or zone. We'll stick with America, New York City. Press enter. The root account is used for administrative system. We're going to enter a password. So for this lab, we're going to enter password as the password with the first P as capital letter, A, S, S, W. Instead of 0, we'll put, instead of O, we'll put 0, RD, repeat same. Next, it's telling us that our password is weak, but for the purpose of this lab, we're just going to use that password. Since it's just a lab environment, we're going to stick with the default settings here. Replace existing Linux system. We're going to press enter for next. The partitioning options you have selected will now be written to the disk. Okay, we're going to write changes to the disk. Enter. Now it's formatting. We are still going to stick with the default settings here, so just enter to go next. Installation is continuing. Now the installation is going to finish, but it's going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video so that we don't sit here getting bored for too long. So I'll pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, a few packages left to be completed. Let's wait for it to finish. We're done with installation and rebooting. This is the end of this task, and we shall be going into another task to do the initial configuration of Fedora Linux. Welcome to this section. In the previous video we did the installation of Fedora. Now in this section we are going to be doing the initial configuration. This is the first boot up, the welcome page. So now we are going to do the initial configuration of this brand new Fedora. Now we're going to press enter to go to the next page. We're going to be setting up our username. Before that, we're going to accept the license agreement on this page. Then we'll move next to the page where we'll set up our username and password. Now for the purpose of this lab, we're just going to use user01 as our username. Same we're using for full names. We're going to be putting up our password as secret. Going down to the next page, we're going to click forward. Oops, the password did not match. Let's go back to the password. I'm going to retype the password. Okay, I'm going to click forward. Press enter to go forward. Said our password is too weak, but for the purpose of this lab, I'm going to stick with it. Date and time, I'm going to set up our date, but it's fine. We'll go next. Entering, pressing enter to go to the next page. We are not sending profile, so we'll stick with do not send profile. Press enter to finish. Yes, we are not sending profile. It's finishing. setting up our new page. Let's wait for it to finish up. This system is configured to operate as a workstation. We'll log in into the system to access its resources. We will have to log in with our user 01, which we selected when setting up this profile. So we're going to press enter so that we can put in our password, which we entered earlier, and we're going to press enter to log in, and we're in. So this is our brand new Fedora. Now it's loading up, which it has done. Now we have finished the setup. We can play around if you need to. This is the interface, and this marks the end of this session and this task. We have installed Fedora on HyperV, so I hope you'll be able to do this on your own. I want to thank you for viewing. I will see you in the next video.